coast of Queensland. It's the 8th of October, a Sunday night in California. And let's see, are we recording? I don't remember if I clicked off on the recording or not. 我们是不是要录音？ There we go. Okay, and I guess we are also live streaming, is that right? Okay, so glad to be that you're with me today. We're going to continue to look into the Ten Transferences chapter, the sixth transference. We're actually going to finish the sixth transference today and move on next week to the seventh transference. Glad you're here. 欢迎各位参加我们万佛生场星期天晚上的大方广佛华严经讲经法会。想问各位，那个声音够不够大？你们听得到、听得清楚吗？ Can I ask, is everybody hearing me clearly? I have a new microphone and I want to be sure that the volume is good. Good. Let's see here. 清楚 Good. Okay. Thank you for that. 好 All right. 我叫恒师，今天是10月初9，在 Australia 这里，加州是10月初8，明天双十日。Okay. 好的 All right. Celeste is going to request Dharma for us today. So I'm going to bring up the Dharma request. Not that one. I want the other one, please. Here we go. And I'll ring the bell and we can bow 3 times right from where you're sitting, if it's convenient, and then we'll have the Dharma request. 我们先礼佛3拜，这个从各位的座位上就可以礼佛打问心就好了。Okay, here we go. First bow. And the second bow. Then the third bow. All right. Celeste, if you'd like to request Dharma, please do it now.
恭请大德圣听，为是法会，济切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱世，离苦得乐，殊证无生。View the Sangha break the true out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to live suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahadi samyao samputoshe.
Namo satanto suchetoye alahadi samya samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 好的。Celeste, thank you for the Dharma request. We appreciate that. Also, we appreciate people's coming together to make this, all of the hard work that goes into putting a Dharma lecture on the air. We appreciate people's kindness and their hard work. 就说所有义工，我们就感恩，因为办一次这个华严法会呢，相当不容易啊。那么很多人发心就出力，就出心，就这样子帮忙。So let's begin with requesting the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas to draw near. 我们迎请华严海会佛菩萨护法上身天龙八部来加持各位哈。One more time. And here we are. The Pomo people practice their spiritual connections to the earth and all creation here in Mendocino County on their ancestral land for tens of thousands of years. And so today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands. And we offer our respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 就说婆摩人在他们祖先的土地上修炼着他们与土地和万物的精神联系已有数万年。今天我们承认他们是这些土地的传统监护人和原始讲故事的人，并且向他们过去、现在和新兴的长老们表示敬意，以及主权从未被割让的所有第一民族人民们表示致敬。Furthermore, we have one more piece of liturgy that we want to do before we get started, and that's the bell song. The bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000界内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训启法界和平， 利益报贪我厚德. May it be so. Well, okay. Put that away and go directly to our sutra. Here is today's. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 verses to go before we are actually done with the sixth transference. And something that's so interesting about the way the chapter ends. We know that the verses follow the text, the prose. So the basic content are expressed in prose, regular paragraphs. Then it's repeated in verse form. And usually it's one-to-one. Same thing from the prose, repeated in the verses, only with meter, bum 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 bum, like that. In this case, something new is added at the very end, and it's a profound Dharma talk on the nature of reality. So interesting that at this point, in the sixth transference, we're getting a lesson in the mechanics of the universe. It's just how things work. Talking about cause and effect. Talking about how dharmas come into being. In other words, where reality comes from. And so this is major, deep insight, and something that only the Dharma, only the Buddha's teaching sees through to the bottom, to the end. We're going to talk about that at the end of the verses today. 我们都知道，多数佛经，尤其华严经，有这么一个结构，就说有长行，然后跟着有重诵。长行里边一段一段所讲的道理，重诵里边再说一遍，可是用计诵，用 meter， 好像心脏滴答答答答答答答答答答答这样子，就节拍。那个第六回向呢，稍微不同，这个很有趣，就说讲完了前边长行的内容。他就开始讲佛法对于我们所谓实际 reality 是怎么一回事，法性是怎么一回事，他就特别专门把这个表现出来，很清楚哦。所以，如果我们以后有机会，在人家在这就说讲讲他们对于人生观一些话说，我们可以介绍这个道理呢，没有谁能就说讲过你了，这是最根本的、最基本的科学性的道理，这是佛法的这个高尚，佛法的特殊的真理。Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. Ready? Are we ready? We're ready, Dharma Master. Okay, we're ready. Let's go. 菩萨了法从缘有，不为一切所行道。开示解说诸业机，欲使众生喜清净。They understand that all phenomena arise from conditions and never contradict this in the path they walk. They teach and explain the principles of karma, wishing to purify all living beings. All phenomena arise from conditions. That's it. That's the truth that the Buddha saw. And he didn't stop there, though. As he explained conditioned arising, he gave us 12 links, 12 steps of where those conditions, how those conditions work. So this is like an instruction manual for the ultimate creation of worlds. including our lives and our bodies. And the Buddha laid it out. 无明缘行，行缘识, right? From ignorance, we get to activities, activities create consciousness, etc. 12 steps. And then he unlinked them, went backwards. He came back and started over, but unlinked them so that we could put an end to, we could go beyond the simple understanding of reality that can lead to so much suffering. So really, really powerful. And there it is. It says these bodhisattvas never contradict this. They never go against this as they work in the world. And they want other people to wake up to this principle, to purify living beings. What would a pure living being be? I don't know if you can't find pure living beings. Because we're living beings, we're not pure. We're mixed. It says qingjing, is that what it is? Yes. 是欲使众生悉清净. Let's say awake, wishing to awaken all living beings. Let me ask you, excuse me 1 second, blow my nose. Currently we have a brand new war raging in the Middle East. If people saw the result of their actions, do you think they would behave in that way? If they saw the suffering that comes from anger and from destruction, the result is more anger and destruction, only it affects you and yours. So if we living beings could really awaken to the principles of karma, I think we would be much more careful in the things we do. 菩萨明白一切诸法从缘生，一切诸法从缘灭。什么意思呢？就说我们的世界，我们的每一天所经过的这个所谓实际 reality， 都是自己做的，都是从这个道理。有人说佛陀能介绍这个道理，是我们释迦牟尼佛所讲的法最大的一个贡献。我有一个老教授是这么说的，他说那个12因缘是我们佛教的最高尚的一个贡献。这个道理呢，其他的宗教抵不到的，没办法超过这个真理啊。所以这是最科学性的12因缘，无明缘行，行缘识，这个12个地步呢，能明白这个，哎呦，你就真的是明白，应该说最深的秘密呢，不是秘密，就是公开的，可是其他人就很难达到了，除非你自己打坐，自己照顾、观察，这个实际性发现，他们菩萨就说第6回向里面菩萨，他们愿意揭示这个道理，希望众生都觉悟。本来说清净，那么我们不是说希望众生就清净，希望众生就觉悟了，明白。如果明白以后自己清净，自己不会做污染的事。好比说呢，我们从昨天，我们中东有个新的战争，这个战争会害了几千人，两边都会受伤，太残忍。如果我们众生能看到因含果，明白因果循环，发生在我身上的东西是因为我自己种下这些种子呢，我相信我们不会这么快就去放武器就去打人杀人，不会，就是因为这一点不明白，所以呢就愿意害人就愿意做害人的事，害人就是害己。OK， 是为智者所行道，一切如来之所说，随顺思维入正义，自然觉悟成菩提。Beautiful verse. Such is the path traveled by the wise and taught by all the Tathagatas. Reflecting thus, bodhisattvas correctly realized the meaning and awakened to Bodhi in due course. Okay, what is the path traveled by the wise? Understanding my responsibility for what happens to me. This is what Buddhas teach. Bodhisattvas look at it and go, yes, that's really true. And from the first time we catch cause and effect all the way to awakening, this is a guide that works for us. Good things bring good results. Bad deeds bring results we don't want. This is so profound and so fundamental and totally, totally available in every Buddhist teaching. And it says, this is, the verses here talk about going from like early awakening to the ultimate awakening. Its cause and effect is still working. 这个道呢，就说明白因果，这个道是菩萨，他们愿意跟着，他们愿意就说顺从，这是诸佛所教的道理啊。那个菩萨从一开始明白因果是真的，一直到成佛成菩提，还是跟着这条路，因为他不改，这是一个基本的原则。明白这个呢，他不会到时候就不实现了，他是从头到尾就是这个道理，可靠的，老派可靠，佛派可靠，对，没有错。诸法无生，亦无灭，亦复无来，无有去，不于此死而生彼，是人且悟诸佛法。Those who can see that phenomena neither arise nor perish, neither come nor go, neither cease to be here nor come into being there, awaken to the Buddha Dharma in its entirety. Okay, this is saying that at the end of the path, the same principle is true. Only bodhisattvas, when they graduate, you could say, they get the whole picture. When we first awaken to it, it's like, oh, I better observe cause and effect if I want to stay on the right path. And the more we see it, the more we want to stay on it, stay with it. But we don't see the whole story at that point. When you get to what's called patience, when dharmas no longer arise, that's in the in Avatamsaka, it's right where the seventh and the eighth ground, the seventh and the eighth stage join. At that point, bodhisattvas they reach a crossroads and they make a choice. And the Buddhas, the sutra says, the Buddhas come and say, ooh, don't make the wrong choice. Please do walk correctly, because if you do, you're on the way to Buddhahood. You will not retreat any further. You can see the top of the mountain from here. If you take the wrong choice at that point, you wind up in a nirvana, a samadhi, but they call it wankong. It's a kind of samadhi that doesn't produce Buddhas. It produces a kind of a end of the path. You take second best. And the bodhisattva path, you won't be teaching the ultimate dharma at that point. It's a disappointment, and the Buddhas will have wasted all the effort to get you to that point if you quit and take the other branch of the intersection. It's a fascinating part of the sutra. It's real, and they say the Buddhas come and remind you, don't forget your vows. Living beings are still suffering. Continue. Just take the next step. Across. And across the gap, and you pass the test. So that's this ability to understand how all dharmas neither come to being or pass away. They don't arise, they don't perish, which before that is like an unavailable insight to you. It's just you're not prepared. You don't have enough samadhi to take that in without going nuts. They say, interesting, huh? 到这个程度呢，这个因果还是真的，从最初发心一直到证菩提，还是这个道理。就说到那个时候，到应该说毕业的时候那你就知道一切法不生不灭，不来不去，不从这里开始，从那里停没有了那个时候你已经证菩提，你的智慧就开了。一开始呢，你明白一点点，还是真的道理，可是你还没有看完全所有的这个因果的道理。现在这段所讲的是所谓这个阿毗跋致，就是不退转的地步，无生法忍。那个呢，那是第7、第8地之间的这个菩萨所觉悟。那个时候有十字路口，你如果接受诸佛他们现前劝你不要往后退，一定要向前进，他们那个时候就劝你接受他们的鼓励你，他们就说不要忘你的你所发的这个根本的愿力，众生还在那儿苦你不可以停了，加油，再进一步，他们都这样子鼓励。那么如果菩萨接受他们的劝你再进一步了正的不退转那个时候一直到佛果你都一定会成功你如果在那个时候看到所谓就诸法无生无灭，无来无去，然后有恐怖心，或者就觉得太麻烦、太远、太没有意思，那个时候你就入一种完空的境界，法灭那个灭尽定，那个是一种解脱，可是你不能进步了不能成佛所以这是那个地方，这个他们看到法性是这样子呢，就成功了所以呢，我们那个所谓无生法忍，一定要忍着，很容易没有佛在那儿劝你继续呢，他们说很容易就有神经病，因为你发狂了，因为那个黑白换了，黑不是黑，白不是白，上不是上，下不是下，我们一般的实际性就完全颠倒，不容易。诸佛菩萨就说再进一步，加油加油，不要往后退。你这样子呢，然后呢，白就是白，黑就是黑，上下正确这样子。可是你自己已经开悟了。OK，ready？ Moving on， 了达诸法真实性，而与法性无分别，至法无性无分别，此人善入诸佛智。Comprehending the true nature of all phenomena, the bodhisattvas make no distinctions therein. Those who know that phenomena are inherently empty and equal masterfully enter the Buddhist wisdom. Okay, nice translation here. So, the true nature of all phenomena. Most people are not busily contemplating the true nature of all phenomena. Most of us are worried about paying the bills, worried about staying out of COVID, worried about our friends who might happen to be in Palestine or in Israel or in Ukraine or Afghanistan had horrible earthquakes yesterday, but the news out of Israel completely bumped it off the news cycle. We're worried about daily stuff, not about the nature of all phenomena. But every now and then, if it really, really helps to understand the true nature of all phenomena, when we have to accept the bad news comes to your door, And what do? Do you lash out at the people around you, or do you go directly at it and understand the nature of all phenomena? Say, this is cause and effect at work. I'm going to turn the state, not be turned by it, because ultimately it's just the same. All dharmas have no distinctions. They're inherently empty and pingdang. If you have that wisdom that comes from actual seeing, it's not you're brushing it off, you actually see it. And as a result, you can get through the hardest of tests without quitting, without giving up, without condemning living beings to suffer without your help, right? Not easy, boy. This is what bodhisattvas can do. Having this understanding helps you get through. 了达诸法真实性，我们一般的人不会一天到晚了达诸法真实性。我们一般呢，就是对于金钱、省钱，不要被人骗，有亲戚有朋友在危险的地区，他们还好吗？有没有消息从以色列呢？有没有消息从阿富汗？昨天很重的地震来了，可是因为中东的关系，所以阿富汗地震的消息没人讲。可是我们一样担心为他们。那么就说自己亲戚有没有患疫情 COVID 这些事是我们每天所关心的真实性。那如果我们像菩萨，那么如果是菩萨的话，能了达诸法真实性呢，这些坏消息、这些不好的新闻传到耳边呢，我们不会过分的忧愁我们都会直接了达，本来法性无分别，一切法无性无分别，都平等性。是这样子吗？坏消息呢？不好的新闻也是坏消息，也是不好的新闻。我们不被它所摇动，都可以明白。一定有因，一定要有果。那如果我了解呢，我不会就说被大风吹得动。那么善入诸佛智，知道这也会过去。将来都会有新的明天，明天一定会更好。我们会这样子。法性遍在一切处，一切众生其国度。三世悉在无有余，亦无形象而可得。The nature of phenomena is ever present in every being in every land, throughout the 3 periods of time, and yet there is no form to be grasped. Oh boy. See what I said? Told you. This is amazing. At the end of the 6th transference, here is this incredible teaching on emptiness and the Bodhisattva's wisdom as he learns from the Buddha how to get through life without being knocked down when times get hard. 就说法性, the nature of phenomena, is present in everything. Just, let's see here, in every being in every land, past, present, and future, and yet there's nothing you can grab. You either can appreciate it and learn from it and manage in the midst of difficulty, or you can just be knocked off your feet by every newest wind and go pursuing the latest cool thing and completely miss the impartial reality at the heart of all things. So I have an interesting situation here. I have my kitchen has a window that is the source of the light in the room, and the in corners of the window, the upper corner and the lower corner, there are 2 house spiders. And house spiders, they're common Australian house spiders. And there are many, many different kinds of spiders. These are just ordinary spiders. They're pretty sizable, and they have personalities, and I've watched them grow. Every time I wash dishes, they're there. And the bugs come zooming along and bang into the window. And of course, the spiders are there like, ha ha ha, lunch. And so I've watched the spiders go through difficult times where there's no food. And even though people don't think much of spiders, they're right in front of me, going through their cycles of life, giving birth to families, and the babies grow up and being eaten by things and all. And so I can enter into the life cycle of arachnids. There they are. They're definitely part of the Australian bush here. And I'm learning by watching how they react to things. So there's another creature that they're they're spider-eating wasps. And sometimes they get in and they land on the window, and they're not like fat flies that the spiders come charging out and grab. The spiders see the wasp fly and they turn around and they run into their web and they hide in the corner of the web. Why? These wasps have the ability to travel directly into the spider's web, pull them out, sting them, and eat them. They're a wasp that specially eats spiders. And so I watch the spiders run in terror from this kind of insect. And it's like, oh my goodness, Australia is just such an amazing place. And here is birth and death right in front of my eyes. This is a lot of tragedy. And while people don't love spiders, but spiders too have things they fear. And it's so amazing to watch this drama unfold. So here's the nature of phenomena is ever present in every being in every land. Cause and effect is true. So what do? When I notice that the spider-eating wasps have gotten in my door and they're flying around and they're hunting the spiders in the web, I get a clear plastic container and a piece of paper, and I grab the wasp and slide the paper under it, and then it's ami tofu, carry it outside and send it away. And then I came back to the spider and said, "You're welcome." And of course, you think, oh man, that's just not fair to the wasp. That's their food. Why are you interfering? Well, I'm getting involved in the life cycle of insects. And I'm aware that while all dharmas are level and equal, and I've watched the spiders pounce on other insects and eat them, watching the wasps grab the spider and carrying it away is kind of hard to bear when I'm watching this spider for months, and I know its family and so. So I postponed the spider's demise by saving it from the wasp. And I wonder what's the karma of that. Maybe a wiser person would say, just let it go, let the cycle of life. But nah. So I got myself involved in the dharma here, in the drama of insects' lifestyle. We'll see whether there's any retribution ahead for me. 就是我们这里有蜘蛛在窗户的角。这个蜘蛛，我每次洗碟子，我都看着它们。我每次泡茶，我就看着这个蜘蛛，是普通的这个黑色的蜘蛛在那里。这个Australia 也有一个东西，这是一个蝗虫。wasp， 蝗虫它是专门吃蜘蛛的，它一点都不怕。它飞到这个窗户，看到蜘蛛网，它就会传过去。这个蜘蛛怎么，这个蝗虫怎么不被 蜘蛛网所网到的，不知道他有这种功夫，他的食物专门是吃蜘蛛的，所以一般呢，那个苍蝇就飞到那个网，哦，蜘蛛跑出来，好，抓了，有东西吃了啊。这个蝗虫飞来了，哇，蜘蛛蹦爬腿就跑，跑走了。哦，怕这些东西，他们都躲到那个网的最远的一角，然后那个蝗虫跟着它，哎呀，所以我今天看到蝗虫来了，哟，飞到窗户那里，啊，蜘蛛噗不见了，啊，那个蝗虫开始找，我呢，我把一个 plastic 这个这个盖子，我就抓那个蝗虫，然后一张纸放在那里盖住，然后阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，就放在外边去放了。回来了，我到了蜘蛛网旁边就说 "You're welcome"，不客气。那么这样子是不是不明白法性遍在一切处啊？那我为什么要参加这个蝗虫跟蜘蛛这种的循环，业果循环？如果蝗虫可以讲话，他一定会说："那你就障碍我吃饭呢，这有什么公平？"他会，我幸亏他不会讲话啊，所以呢，我也参加了。是那我自己的，这是一个因，我种下一个因，那个果报是什么不清楚。不过我每天看那些蜘蛛，我知道它有的是母亲，他们生了孩子，孩子长大了，我看了好几次，有他们的生死，他们的苦，所以你看，虽然法性遍一切处，三世悉在无有余，悉以无形象而可得。So you can't grab the Dharma nature, and yet you can see it at work. Today I got involved. Amitofo. Yeah, the wasps are going to come after me later, I know. 一切诸佛所知了，悉皆摄取无有余。虽说三世一切法，如是等法悉非有。Such is what all Buddhas awaken to. They thus encompass all without exception. Although taught in the past, present, and future, such a Dharma is nowhere to be found. This is the wonder of the Buddha Dharma. Buddhas awaken to the nature of all things being made from conditions. When conditions arise, dharmas are there. Conditions go, dharmas are gone. Buddhas wake up to it and they see it everywhere and they teach it everywhere. But it's amazing because you can't grab it. There's no color, no weight, and yet it is truth. This is a story worth telling, isn't it? 就说诸佛觉了什么，就是性空，我怎么说？原生性空就是说没有例外，这是基本的真实诸法性是这样子的。虽说三世一切法，他们常常讲这个道理呢，可是呢，你要抓住这个道理，没有了，没有颜色，没有轻重，没有前后，就是真实道理，这么微妙。入诸法性遍一切，菩萨回向亦复然。如是回向处众生，常于世间无退转。Just as the nature of phenomenon pervades everywhere, so too does the dedication of all bodhisattvas. They make dedications to all beings in this way, never retreating and ever abiding in the world. Okay, now the real punchline, is Buddhas observe cause and effect and the creation of all dharmas and the destruction of all dharmas from its first aspect all the way to its ultimate truth. And they can realize it, they can step into it and make it their own truth. And then it says, you know what? Dedication's the same way. You can't find it. There's no way to buy it or sell it, but it is absolutely true. So this is ultimately why we get this Dharma lecture at the end of the sixth transference. It's because they say, just like all dharmas, transference is the same. You want to say it doesn't exist? It absolutely exists. You want to show it to me? You can't. So do you have to take it on faith? No. It's not that you take it on faith. It's that you put it into practice and prove it for yourself. 哦，果然是这样子。为什么到这个第六回向的最后这个末段拿出来这种这个因缘法这个道理呢？缘生性空，就是因为是个比喻，就是说回向也是一样的，就说诸菩萨会引用这个真理，他们最相信这个真理，他们每天这样子回向，可是到时候拿不出来，看不出来，没有不在前边，不在后边，没有人就说创造，也没人回收，不能买也不能卖。可是回向是他们离不开的真理就说常于时间无退转，就像法性回向也是一样的。第六，随顺坚固一切善根回向结束了。This is the end of the dedication that abides in accordance with and fortifies all good roots. There it is. All right. Got a question for you. If I ask you, 如果我问各位 who is in charge of your life? 谁在这掌握你的生命的一切决定呢？ When a question arises, who decides what you do, what I do, for right or for wrong? 有个事情发生，谁决定我应该怎么做，做对，做不对？谁决定？ Who decides? Who's in charge of your life? You know, remember the old bumper sticker? When I was a college student, there was a famous bumper sticker that said, when it comes to politics, not to decide is to decide. In other words, you can't escape responsibility. 我在读大学的时候有一个 bumper sticker 非常有名，就是说不决定就是决定。意思是说，到了政治的时候，一定要自己负责。为什么呢？你如果不决定，有人替你决定，你一定要受。在公共场所。Okay, who decides? Who's in charge of my life? 到底是谁在这决定 Who's in charge? Bring it back. And someone online just said, habit, yes, she is in charge. Okay, well, you may think so. Here we are. What engine drives my decisions in life? 哪一个机器就说让我生命里边决定的这个机器呢？ Is it, let's do this sentence. Oh, I should do that sentence by sentence. Is it God's will? 是不是上帝自愿？是不是命运？是不是运气？啊，那为什么要问这个？Because why do so I should have done this one by one. Too late? Yeah, I don't want to waste time getting it right. Okay, who drives the decision in your life? Is it God's will? Is it fate or destiny? Is it luck or chance? So what's the deal here? When I taught Buddhist philosophy at the local university here, Bond University, one of the best classes, one of the best lectures was asking these 19 and 20-year-old college students this question: who's in charge of your life? And many of them just like, oh yeah, well, somebody. Like, hey, stop, think, put your phone down. I'm asking you, who makes decisions? Well, I never really thought about it. Yeah, that's right. That's why I'm asking you. Think about it. Tell me. Here are your choices. Is it God's will? Now, God's will for Buddhists must seem kind of funny, but I guarantee that in countries that have Christianity or Judaism or Islam or Catholicism, this has to be the answer. God's will. When you're a Catholic, if you have a class in catechism, and good Catholic children do, who made me? God made me. God made me in his own image. That's the first question. So there's my mother's favorite song, her favorite hymn goes, his eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. So even the smallest bird, God's eye is on the sparrow, and he's watching me as well, taking my decisions. That has to be the answer. Who's in charge? Suppose you're not a Christian, a Jew. Suppose you're not a Muslim. Suppose you're not a Catholic. Do you believe in Ming, fate? Let's take a look. Or maybe you think that luck is in charge. 如果你问这个问题啊，你是基督徒、天主徒、伊斯兰教徒、犹太教徒，一定是上帝决定。我母亲她是基督徒，她最喜欢的歌就是上帝的眼光包括最小的麻雀，何况我，上帝在关心我，他呢？他有万能，我不负责，是他决定。这是很多的基督徒。我在附近的大学里边教佛教的哲学一门课，多数的学生是基督徒的家庭或者天主徒。我问问他们，他们就根本不想这个问题，他没想，说好了，你上这门课要问这个问题，到底是谁负责你的决定？你的决心是 God's will。他们年轻的时候就听说这个道理。如果不是基督徒、天主徒、犹太徒、伊斯兰徒，你就说：“哎呀，命运，那一定是命。哎呀，恶命。哎呀，命啊，苦啊，这样子，不是你决定，是命在决定。”或者呢，就说我不相信命，就是 luck。就是好运气，好运啊。那如果有这些问题呢，我们就问佛教徒怎么答复这个问题。If it's God's will, then a deity is in charge. Somebody else is in charge of my life. His decisions are beyond my control. I do not control what happens in my life. I only wait for God.I cannot work to influence his outcome. 如果我相信上帝决定呢，那他来负责我的生命，我不能控制，我不能影响他的决定， 他完全万能，他是造主，我没办法了，我就要等他的恩，我就等待他的恩下来了，那就好了。而且呢，那个结果我不能参与，我没有办法参与他的结果，这是真正的他们的决心。So if it's God's will, look at that. That's truth. He's in charge. I can't control it. I wait for grace, and I cannot influence the outcome. I can't work my way into heaven. This is one answer. Who's in charge? 谁在这负责？如果是上帝的话，okay. Now, suppose your answer is fate, destiny. Some other power makes my decisions. The decisions are made by a database, a data bank outside of me. I can't control it, and nothing can be done. It's fate. The decision's already made. 如果你相信这个命运，哎呀，苦命啊，他这个好命啊，你看这个人的好命啊，那这样子的话，那个权力不在我的手掌，是那个权力完全是在我身外，我不能控制，我不能影响那个决定那个机器没办法，束手无策，没办法了，就是命啊，苦命啊，好命，你相信不相信？我问那些学生，你信不信命运完全在那控制？他们说，好像不太对吧？那说，那都谁在负责？ So in my class at Bond University, I said, okay, if God is not in charge, then who is? Do you believe that fate makes the decisions? It's all decided and you have nothing. That doesn't sound right either. Well, who's in charge then? After all, who is in charge of your life? 到底谁在那儿负责你的生命? Is luck the decider? In other words, there's no data bank, there's no database that is in charge. It's not an individual, it's not the creator God. There's just the luck of the draw. It's just you take your chances. Could that be true? Nobody's in charge. Stuff just happens. There's no control. You can't do anything about it. Good luck, bad luck. Take your chances. The outcomes are random. Lady luck. Do you believe that? Gamblers do. Gamblers believe this, right? Really good luck. Good luck. We go to the temple at the beginning of the year and light a lot of incense, hoping this year will be lucky. We even punk our heads on the ground, hoping that somebody's in charge. Better luck this year. Okay? 就说运气好运没有人在那儿负责，也没有上帝，也没有命运，没有把握了，就事情发生了没办法，好运、坏运、厄运，就祝你好运Lady luck 我们到庙上烧多一点香叩多一点头在这问那个背看这次那个好钱下钱呢上钱，就是相信。我问学生他们相信不相信这个好运气，他们说有的时候，不过也不能相信，是对的。那到底谁在这负责？ So I asked the students, what do you think? Is luck in charge of the choices you make? Is it just luck how things work out? You say, that's not quite right either. So ultimately, who's in charge of your life? So then I said, okay, it's not God, it's not fate, it's not luck. In the end, who's in charge? I said, what if you asked a Buddhist? 如果你问佛教徒到底，如果不是上帝他的智性，如果不是命运那天命不是，也不是好像运气，到底谁在这负责？ Who's in charge? 问一个佛教徒 could it be cause and effect? Each individual is in charge of his or her decisions. Decisions are made completely within my control, and I plant my own seeds, any seed that I want. And then how well I cultivate that seed determines what I harvest. That sounds like a Buddhist answer, doesn't it? Oh, 或者呢 who's in charge? 是不是因果的道理？因果循环，每一个人要负责自己的决定了，完全我在这控制，在我支配，在我的手掌。我种下任何种子，任何这个苗，怎么样栽培，怎么样浇水、上肥料，好好把毒草拔起来，那我就知道那个收获是怎么一回事。那是一个佛教徒可以答复的道理。That's an answer that a Buddhist could give you. The Buddha describes cause and effect as a law of the universe, how things work. 佛陀第六回向就说因果是法界之间三世十方三世的一个定律，这是法性的真理。This is a law of the universe, past, present, and the future. We could even include, let's see if we can add a line here. In 10 directions and 3 periods of time. In other words, it's always true. Pull that down. How do I do it? There we go. 10 directions, you'll have to believe that I've got it right. 10 directions in 3 periods of time. Layout. Let's see here. Update. There we go. I can't get that space. All right. Save it. Come back. All things whatsoever arise from conditions. When conditions come together, dharmas arise. When conditions come apart, dharmas cease to be. What do you think? Is that, if you heard that answer, what would you say? Would you say, oh, that's probably a Buddhist answer? Yeah. 命由我立，复自己求, correct. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. So there is a Shifu used to, come back here. Shifu used to give us that teaching from the Taoist book. I've lost the name in my old brain here, but this idea that 祸福无门，为人自照，命由我立. So disasters and blessings have no door. They come completely from what we do. I make my own future. What is the name of that book? Somebody can tell me. 那个是感应篇，对不对？ Yeah. So this is a wonderful Dharma teaching that if we notice that the sixth transference says bodhisattvas observe it and then constantly teach it. When you have the opportunity to share cause and effect with people, this, because it's such a fundamental principle, it's happening on every side. The problem is there's this gap between the seed and the fruit, right? There's a gap between the cause and the effect. If sometimes there's instant karma they talk about, and you can explain cause and effect so that people go, oh, that's really true, isn't it? this is one that you most often get a chance to share. But you have to do it with kindness. You can't hit people over the head with it. But people have a short memory. And the lesson that we learned just yesterday is hard to remember today. So the bodhisattvas in the sutra observe it themselves and then teach it every chance they get with kindness. 这个因果的道理，因果循环，因果报应，这个道理呢，是我们会常常看到在四面八方常常在实现。有机会指出自己看到，然后有机会跟大家讲解释说哦，这是因果道理，那个很大的机会，那个让人觉悟了机会比较多。虽然怎么说，话说回来，你不可以用这个道理打人的头。这个也要用慈悲心让大家知道了哈。对的。OK， 好的 ，Yeah， 没有错。OK， 这个了凡四训也是没有错了，了凡四训是讲得很清楚。So this is you want to teach people about this kindly. In the Bible, whatever seeds a person sows, that fruit shall he also reap. 就是说种什么因结什么果，这是圣经里边的一个道理，没有错。Okay, always let your conscience be your guide, says Jiminy Cricket. 好的 all right, now, you know what we do at this point, right? Everybody knows. Here we go. There we are. We bring out Master Xuanzang's biography. And the last week, I'm going to bring my, let's see here, there's a speaker. Okay, there we are. Last week we heard the first part of a letter that he wrote to the king of Gaochang because the king came through. He originally got angry at Master Xuanzang and wanted him to stay in this little kingdom just at the beginning of the pilgrimage. And Master Xuanzang said no. The king was not used to hearing no, and so he got really angry and threatened him. I have ways to make you obey. And Master Xuanzang said, okay, yeah, well, I have ways to refuse. I'll die right here, happily, keeping my vow. And so the king yielded. He knew he'd been outfoxed. And he really, really thought through what Master Xuanzang was about to do and made it easier for him by providing him with all kinds of goodies, all kinds of tools, and not just hardware, but also software. He gave him letters that would ease his passage through the countries ahead, and gifts to give to the kings and the rulers and the gang leaders that he was going to encounter along the way. So both hardware and software gifts that were going to be very, very useful along the way. So last week we first started looking at the letter that Master Xuanzang wrote to say thank you. And the, I know, the name of the book, 太上感应篇, 太上感应篇, 对, 那个名字. So anyway, he wrote this letter, and as I was reading it, I was struck by the incredible diplomatic skill that Master Xuanzang employs, and also his command of Chinese. the letter is certainly it's flowery, but he doesn't waste a word. It's a diplomatic way of communicating, but it's just, you can visualize this monk taking his brush and writing these words. Just amazing. We're going to do the whole thing. I'm going to go through it so we can move on, but it's fairly long. That's why I'm giving you this long introduction. Let's see if we can get through the letter. 上次玄奘大师就给这个高昌王写一封信，感谢他就布施大方的布施玄奘法师所用的可以用的东西，在他的路途。保护身体更重要，就是所谓软体，就写信、介绍信、推荐信。因为这个马路上这个路途呢，会遇到某某国王，就是介绍这个法师的这个所发心，他的愿力，包括那个丝绸一个礼物，可以奉给下一些国家的这个领袖，所以然后呢，玄奘大师写信，他的文笔是不可比的。你们可以想想看，这个法师拿个毛笔写感谢，他用的中文，他写的他的心所讲的话，所写的意思，超过一般人了，真的是太庄严，太有智慧，真的有智慧。Okay, I'm gonna stop praising him and let you decide for yourselves. Here we go. Take a look. 他怎么说呢？ Okay, starting right here, we covered a little bit of this. We're going to look at it again. 法师见王送沙弥及果树灵卷等至，阐其幽见之后，上启写曰：庄的藏就是我，温江海海峡深，记之者必平周记。春生智祸，导致者十家盛焉。Okay. Being informed the king had given him 4 novice monks and providing him with letters of introduction and rolls of silk, the master felt grateful for the rich gifts and wrote a letter to express his gratitude. He said, I have heard one has to depend on a boat with oars to cross the river and see which are deep. In just the same way, you have to depend on the teachings of the sages to guide one out of the doubts that exist in the minds of men. Pretty good. Big analogy, right? Cross the river, need a boat. To get rid of doubts, you need the sages. 是以如来运以此之大悲，生此秽土，尽三明之慧日，朗此幽昏，慈云应有顶之天。法语润3000之界，离安以气，舍应归真。Therefore, the Tathagata was born in the world of impurity with a mind of compassion, the way a mother would love her only son. He lit up the darkness of mind with the sun of wisdom of the 3 knowledges. The cloud of kindness suspended in the sky and the rain of Dharma moistened the 3,000 worlds. After having fulfilled his task of benefiting all beings, he abandoned what was false and returned to what was true. Okay, so he brings the Buddhist history forward into his letter. 他就引用佛教的历史来代表他的意思，他要讲的话。以教东流600余寺，腾会真辉于无落，趁势中美与清凉。不坠宣风，闲匡圣业。His bequeathed teachings have been spread to the West for more than 600 years through China. Kashyapa Matanga and Sanghavarman glorified the law at Wu and Luo, 2 places in China, while Dharmaraksha and Kumarajiva embellished it at Chin and Liang, 2 more translation sites. They all taught the sublime truth and performed superior deeds. So he's talking about the process of translation of the early stages of the Dharma. 就是佛法到中国来的最早的时候，有这4大名翻译的人，他们在那儿忙着翻译佛经。但原人来意印顺不同，去圣时遥，异类吃传，差传吃传。随时双林一位之志，分成当现2场。大乘不二之宗，西为南北2道，纷纭争论，泛数百年，率徒怀疑，莫有将绝。Okay, really good. Man, the way he writes this is so incredible. But those translators came from different lands. There were different expositions of the scriptures. And so over time, the time of the Buddha has passed us, and his teachings got misinterpreted. So the unique teaching bequeathed by the Buddha, by the 2 solid trees, have been divided into 2 extremes, and the unequal doctrines of Mahayana is split into north and south. Fighting, disputes lasted hundreds of years. The people of the country were in doubt. Nobody could solve it. Now, does this sound like Shifu? Master Hsuan had the same concern and acted on it. Look at this. So now Master Xuanzang brought in the letter, he's writing a letter. He brought this concern of his to the forefront, to the present day. He's going to explain what he's doing here. 玄奘大师把佛教的历史，这个痛苦的历史，就带到现代，这是他在那个唐朝。这听起来好像玄华上人一样的关心这个佛教的身体分裂。玄奘大师准备解释他到了高昌国的因缘。Right? He's explaining what he's doing there in the country of Gaochang. Okay, we're going to read the whole passage here. 玄奘素因有庆，早遇资门，父及从师，年将2季，名贤圣友，备悉子寻，大小成宗，略得疲懒，未尝不知，倦踌躇，彭经岔气 ，OK， 望其源而翘足，想救灵而在怀，愿意拜临，起身速获，然知存管不可窥天，小理难为着海，但不能弃此为成，是一桩数去路，刮土荏苒，隧道衣物。Right? I mean, this guy, how could he know all these words? These are incredible, the way he puts them together. With his lucky causes from previous lives, Xuanzang has been able to enter the order at an early age, studied under various teachers for nearly 20 years, consulted with many well-known scholars, superior friends, thus had a glimpse of the books of both Mahayana and Hinayana schools. Wherever he holds the scripture to study, he hesitates, I hesitate and feel at a loss to understand the intricate meanings contained therein. I've often longed to visit Jadavana Garden and the Vulture Peak to solve the doubts in my mind. Although I understood that one could not examine the sky through a small tube, one cannot measure the sea with a little spoon, I would still not abandon my humble ideas. So, having made preparations, I started on my journey, and I managed to get here to Yiwu with a lot of difficulty, dude. He's saying to the king, I want you to understand what I'm about, right? 夫为大王，秉天地之纯和，自二意之熟气，吹意作主，子欲苍生。东帝大国之风，西服百荣之俗，楼兰玉室之地，车师狼王之相， 之乡，并辟深人，具瞻厚德，假以亲贤爱士，好善留慈，幽因远来，趋令皆隐。Okay, doesn't quit, keeps going. Being endowed with the great harmony of heaven and earth, and gifted with the good spirit of the universe, your majesty is a king who rules over the people as if they were his sons. Oh boy, here it comes. You have the manners of the great country in the east, and observe the custom of the 100 tribes in the west. The lands of Kroraina and Karashar and the countries of Bashbalik and Langwang are all under the influence of your deep kindness and great virtue. Moreover, you respect the sages, you love the scholars, you like what is good, you treat people with kindness. You have great care for those who come from a distant land, and you looked after them with hospitality. He can really do it. You understand why he is such a famous diplomat. Yeah. Master Xuanzang is truly a giant. 继而制止，卧会于山，次以化言，阐扬法义，又蒙降劫地际之缘，敦想有余之念，并以书悉或20余番，叙事殷勤，令弟见诵。Since my arrival, you treated me with deep kindness and granted me the honor to expound the law, Dharma. You have condescended to be related with me as a brother and regarded me with fraternal feelings. You've also written letters of introduction in favor of me to 24 countries in the West regions, requesting them to treat me with propriety and send me out of their domains without any hindrance. It goes on and on. Maybe we should... Okay. I think I can't get it. I don't want to cheat the letter. It's too good to try to squeeze it all in this time. We'll stop at that at page 17 here. So look at how amazing is this writer. He uses historical analogies, and he quotes the ancients. He uses Buddha Dharma just like a master, it completely bends to his will. And he's praising the king because you got to praise a king. Kings are like that. You have to be polite and tell them how wonderful they are. He can do that, and it's not phony when he does it. He is truly being helped out by the king, and he's saying so. But he's brought the history of Buddhism forward to this present moment, explained his mission, explained his vows, and he has put the king into the story. So how could the king do anything but support him from this point? And he knows that the king's mother is there, the king's family is there, the ministers are there, the army is there. They're all listening to Xuanzang speak Dharma. But he's speaking worldly Dharma as a diplomat, and also making sure that everybody understands what he's about, so that the pilgrimage will be supported. Just tremendous. I have 100% admiration for this incredible monk who's so skillful. Our teacher wielded the brush, in this case the chalk, the same skill. Just amazing. Shifu's ability to do this kind of writing, we saw it every chance that Shifu gave us, that allowed us to see it. 就说玄奘大师他写信呢，他能用过去用到证明现在， 让国王的母亲、国王的将军啊，他的文武百官呢，都明白玄奘大师的愿力是多么重要。可是他就摄受国王还有百官呢，到支持他的路途，支持他的愿力，非常有本事、非常有智慧的一个大法师。我们观察玄华上人师父的文笔没有第二师父能应用过去佛法、历史、义理，就说礼貌，都在一个字一个字写下来了。我就是太尊敬，就是完全佩服这种本事。So we have to continue the end of the letter. There's quite a bit. There's another 2 pages here. And I don't want to skip over it because it's just too rich. 因为还有这封信写得很长，我不愿意忽略，让大家不能完全接受、完全明白它的伟大。All right. So there we go. We have a wonderful opportunity to learn from the Avatamsaka Sutra how to practice transference, but we're also learning from Master Xuanzang how to put wisdom to work in the world to accomplish Dharma events. So both world transcending and worldly completely merge, and you see wisdom at work. 我们研究华严经菩萨回向法，就是然后把这个因果道理讲出来。同时呢，这个是出世的真理。然后呢，我们看这个入世，玄奘大师他就用智慧来，让他做佛事，大做佛事。这个在印度的边际丝绸之路，他的智慧就本来没有门，无门可走，他现在有个门，他就开了。然后他的pilgrimage， 他的求法变成义务国家老百姓和贵族的所求法的一个路途，真的万分佩服。Okay, we need to dedicate merit ourselves. Let's see here. Yeah, you're welcome. You want to see my bird here? This guy. Look at Dexter. He came. There he is. How whirly is Dexter? This is my cockatoo buddy who's got a bad wing. He came through yesterday. 这是我这里的鹦鹉，它的左边的翅膀有毛病了。它年纪大了，它可能是12、14岁。Yeah.这些鹦鹉呢，它们可以活到20年，它们寿命很长。Dexter. All right. There we go. Should we dedicate merit, everybody? Let's do it. Please make a wish. Practice like the Bodhisattvas do. 我们可以效法菩萨，发挥上的愿哈。阿富汗有地震，中东有战争。May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see our hand minds and hearts can find in giving unity. May our minds away to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. We can bow to the Buddhas. Welcome to join me. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Alrighty, that's going to do it for us for today. We'll see you all next week. Amitofo. Bye, everybody.
Amitofo. Thank you, 施老师。
You're welcome.